All right, here we go with day 27. All right, now I definitely, an idea didn't really come to me as I was done with my meditation, and I'm kind of in a time crunch because I got to leave in 15 minutes. So I figured I'd at least put the camera on and see if I can figure something out because yesterday I was talking about starting meditation. So it's just in anything that we do, sometimes it's hard to start. And I know I've had a hard time trying to figure out where to start in my life. And I mean, there's all kinds of stuff now with AI and everything that you can use to like type in some ideas. And that's kind of what I did. Because in me, and that was the thing is that since I had a hard time knowing where to start, I figured that once I started figuring out where to start, you just got to start anywhere. But you also have to get clear on what you want to do and what you want to get done and like what direction you want to go in. Like basically what your like identify your expertise, your skills, your experiences, what you're passionate about, like things that you have a strong understanding for, which is me, meditation, health, spirituality, uh, maybe stress management, anything that you're really good at, if you want to teach it or show it, that's a good place to start. Figure out what those things are. Like, get a clear vision of what you want to do. Like, I want to have impact helping people realize that they can start anywhere in that just because you don't know everything, just because you don't believe that you can do it all, doesn't mean you can't. So for me, it was always about like me, the hardest part for me that I had to get over was getting in front of people and in front of the camera, being comfortable with who I was. Meditation helped me with that because the more that you look at yourself, the more you become more comfortable with where you are. So for me, the big thing hurdle I had to get over was getting the confidence to get on here and be me. And it took me a long time until Dean finally said, if not now, when? And I was like, you know what, he's right. If not now, when? And then you know, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be easy. But the only way you're going to get somewhere is to start doing it. I always thought, like I said before, that I was waiting to be in that perfect moment, waiting to know enough, waiting to read the next book, take the next seminar, do the next, meditation retreat. So there was like a lot of things that I didn't feel like I was up to it. So I was waiting for that perfect day until I was up to it. And then that day never came. I mean, I guess it did come when Dean said that, but that's when it got me thinking that, hey, you know what? The only way to do something or get better at something is to actually sit down and do it. And if you don't know how to do it, there are people that know how to do these things. I've been studying like successful people for the last 3 or 4 years. And little by little, I've taken pieces of what I've learned and put it into my own life. And then eventually, I started getting more comfortable with who I was and what I was doing and what I was capable of. I started doing coaching. I've had a coach now since I think 2023, so almost 3 years, something like that. Well, about 2.5 years, somewhere in there. And then so little by little, she showed me her journey and helped me discover what I was good at. And then by seeing her sharing that stuff with me, like her journey and what she had to do, like every time she finds something that's helpful for her in her life, she's like, dude, you got to try this. You got to try this. This is awesome. And then I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And like every time I'm like, she's right. This was awesome. So it's like, it's changing that focus. It's figuring out who you want to have impact on too. Like you got to find who your audience is. Like again, I'm putting these everywhere. Whoever resonates with them, that'll be awesome. So, but the thing is that you got to find, like, we think too much about we got to influence the whole world or we got to have impact on the whole world. There's 6 billion people, and Dean likes to talk about it like there's a dot, where I'm trying to shoot for people that are want to start a meditation process, maybe want to know a little bit more about coaching, maybe want to know a little bit more about health, like, or how to get started doing something on their own, like, those are kind of like, those are vague, so you got to get it a little bit more pointed, like figure out like male, female, young, old, like there's ways to narrow it down to where you're kind of getting to that point where the dot gets smaller and smaller. And then there might just be, hundreds of thousands of people that will resonate with you, or a thousand, or whatever it ends up being. But when we think too much about, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. There's so much information. There's so much more. There's so many people in this world. You get overwhelmed thinking you gotta impact them all, or like that they're all going to like you, and that's not the case. The case is, do your specific thing, get it like, narrowed down, and then just be you. The biggest part for me is just being me. That was the hardest thing, is that I always thought in my life that I had to be something more than I was. And I didn't. All I had to do was be me. And that's what society does. It makes you feel like you have to be this outstanding person, and or this great human being, or this, put on a pedestal. And it's like, no, you just got to do things. You just got to create better habits. You got to create better things. It's the little stuff that you do every day, and it adds up over time. And we always think it's, like I said before, it's some big big thing, and it's not. It's doing the little things every day and being consistent and showing up, and then seeing what happens. I didn't know that this was all going to go on, but I kept showing up the last 2.5 years. It wasn't easy. There was times of doubt where I didn't think it was possible for me to get to here. And I'm sure we all have those doubts, that we're unsure of things because we've never done something before. But then when you start seeing enough people that have been where you're at, or are where you're at, and see how they got past all the stuff, like the limiting beliefs, the not believing in themselves, waiting for the perfect moment, thinking you have to be perfect all the time. And then you begin to realize that you just got to do it anyway, that it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be failures. You're going to get knocked down, which shouldn't discourage you from doing it. You just be ready to get back up, and ready to be persistent, and ready to keep showing up no matter what. I mean, I'm showing up even when I don't feel like it. I didn't get much sleep last night, but I got up and did my meditation, and am sitting here doing this video. I'm tired, but you know what? The energy I got from the meditation is kind of guiding me, and then just getting here without even knowing what I was going to talk about, and then just kind of seeing what I was thinking about yesterday, because I was going to talk about some of this yesterday, but then once I got going with the meditation, it just kind of took up the whole video. And that's what I mean, is I wouldn't be talking right now if I would have just not sat down and just did this, because I was thinking about, oh, I'll just do the video when I get home, and then I was like, nah, you know what, you still got 15 minutes, just sit down and get it done. See, there's always that's the thing, that's the mind, that's what it does to you. It tries to get you, it tries to stop you. And that's the thing. It's like with anything and every like I'm so excited. But yeah, no, like the the mind will pump out thoughts. Every thought you have in your head is not real. Sometimes it'll just pump out thoughts to try to stop you. It'll pump out thoughts that aren't even true. And then all of a sudden you start to think they're true. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're down a rabbit hole of negativity. But we always had to say, wait a second, is this thought I'm having true? The mind's there, it pumps thoughts out. Not every single thought you have is true, or right, or it isn't who you are. It's like you got like two beings living inside you, the ego and the higher self, and you got to kind of, whichever one it's they talk about the two wolves, whichever one you feed is the one that grows. And you can stop feeding the one if you have been, and start feeding the other. So it's better. So for me, I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna get on here and see what happens. And then I said, if it's not good enough, then maybe I'll do it when I get home. But here I am, and it seems like it's flowing better. So again, there's so much, in our heads, that not everything we have is true. And then too, like after you define your audience and define your clear goals or your aim or what you're trying to do, then you just start creating content, start speaking your mind, start being you, start making videos about it. Like again, I know some of the exercises I do and some of the meditations I will do some videos on. But again, just create the content every day, get focused. And again, if you're not at the spots where I am now, that's cool too. I had to go through all the times when I wasn't making videos. I've had a YouTube channel for almost a year, and I've made more videos during this challenge than I did in the last, uh, 11 months. So again, it's a process, and you just be okay with it. I've noticed a lot of people that I know that I watched some of their videos in the beginning, they were kind of scattered with it too. So there is development in between. There is times where you're learning and not just doing it, but then all of a sudden you get to that breakthrough where you get challenged and then you just start doing it. And now that I've been doing it for 26 days in a row, I'm starting to feel more confident. I'm actually like wanting to get on here and do more. So that repetition, that consistency, that keep doing it no matter what, has actually made me more comfortable doing it because now I know that I'm capable of it, that I'm doing it. And the only way you're going to get there is to do something and get through that uncomfortableness, that need for it to be perfect. I'm not saying don't try to put out good content, just realize that it's not always going to be perfect and just do the best you can in every moment and keep going forward. And if you got some burning passion inside of you, figure out how to get it out. There's plenty of tools out there from coaching, meditation, yoga. There's plenty more, and you just got to start somewhere and be gentle with the process and keep going every day to create better habits. And for me, I just want to keep creating content. So if like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.